بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Glimpses of Arabic Rhetoric Part 3, Syntax Inversion, لمسات بيانية. ثالثا التقديم والتأخير. We have been looking at glimpses of Arabic rhetoric by looking at three simple areas that do not require advanced knowledge of the Arabic language. And the third area is at-taqdeem wa ta'khir, syntax inversion. All languages have the concept of inverted syntax. Arabic takes it to a whole new level by providing us with dozens more than any other language. Now, if you're not familiar with syntax inversion, that's okay. Here's some examples to bring home the point. Look at this example here from Surah Al-Fatiha, something you say all the time, every day. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. And if you look at the translations, you see in the translations, they say, you alone we do ibadah of, you alone we seek help from. And you may be wondering, hey, where did they get the word alone? Why is the word alone in the translation written in parentheses? Sometimes they use only, you only we do ibadah of. Where is that coming from? Because if you look at the original Arabic, if you look at, let's look at Iyaka na'budu, the first sentence. Iyaka na'budu, right? If you look at the sentence Iyaka na'budu, the word alone or only does not appear in the sentence. It's just Iyaka, which is you, na'budu, we do ibadah. So where is this alone coming from? That's the power and beauty of Arabic language. This word alone is understood by any Arabic speaker who is educated without you saying it. So how is he or she able to understand the word alone, even though it is not there? This is invisible word. Here's the reason why. There's something called syntax inversion. You take the normal syntax. Well, what is syntax? Syntax is the word order. Every language has its rules that determine the correct syntax from the incorrect one. If you follow the rules of syntax, which is grammar basically, you'll get the sentence right. If you don't follow the rules of syntax, you will be wrong, of course, and you may not be understood. So in Arabic, the syntax is verb for the verbal sentence. I'm talking about verbal sentence, not the nominal sentence. For the verbal sentence, the normal syntax is to put the verb first, then you put the doer, and then you put the object. Verb, doer, object. So for example, let me put some examples here in the text. If I say shariba, which means drank, al-qittu, the cat, al-haliba, the cat drank the milk. Sharib al-qittu al-haliba. Where is the verb? And you study this in Easy Quranic Arabic series. The verb is right here, shariba. So you start with the verb in Arabic for a verbal sentence. So literally, it's saying drank the cat the milk. In English, this is wrong. In English, you cannot say drank the cat the milk. That's wrong syntax in English. What do you say in English? You say the cat drank the milk. You put the subject first. Whereas in Arabic, it gives you more flexibility, you have more freedom to play with the syntax to create different rhetorical effects. Now, can you say al-qittu sharib al-halib? Sure, you can say that. Al-qittu sharib al-halib, you can say that. But if you do that, you have changed the syntax to a different valid syntax. And that creates a rhetorical effect in the mind of the listener. Sharib al-qittu al-halib is not the same as al-qittu sharib al-halib. The difference is that sharib al-qittu al-halib is the normal, that's the default, that's normal speech. But al-qittu sharib al-halib means the cat drank the milk, no one else drank the milk. There's an implication there. So you see the syntax inversion or changing the word order. The Arabic poets were experts in playing with the word order to create rhetorical effects. And when the Quran came, it knocked them out. They couldn't believe how amazing the Quran syntax inversion techniques were. So with that in mind, let's go here to Iyaka na'budu. Iyaka na'budu is not the normal syntax. The normal syntax would be to say, put the verb first for the verbal sentence, because it's a verbal sentence. The normal syntax would be to say na'buduka. Na'buduka. Okay. It means we do ibadah of you. But if I say na'buduka, does that mean I do not worship or do ibadah of anything else? It doesn't necessarily negate it. Because I can say na'buduka, I can say na'buduka to a person who, not me because I'm a Muslim, person who is a non-Muslim, like a Hindu or mushrik. He goes to a temple and he worships one idol and he says to that idol, a'buduka. He goes to another temple and worships another idol, a'buduka. He goes to a third idol and keeps repeating a'buduka, a'buduka. But if he says, iyaka na'budu, that's inverted syntax. Now he's saying, only you alone, I worship or do ibadah of. La ilaha illallah, right? So it makes a big difference how you put, how you organize, how you string together words. Very, very critical. Arabic gives you a lot of flexibility if you follow the rules of grammar. You have more flexibility to play with the word order, to play with the syntax, more than any other language, to the best of my knowledge, except, of course, for languages that are sisters of Arabic. These are just like Arabic, so no surprise there. The same thing here. Iyaka nasta'in. You only we seek help from. Okay, now there's a really cool story that I read a while back from Islamic history. There was a military commander, and he was out there doing jihad, fighting the bad guys. And the soldiers were fighting ferociously and bravely, but the enemy was much, much, much stronger. They had underestimated. The Muslims thought the enemy was of certain size, certain strength. It turned out to be incorrect, and the enemy was way, way stronger, much more than they could fight. And so before they wanted to, they didn't want to start the fight until they had reinforcement. They called for help. They did not have a phone, so they wrote a letter to Khalid ibn al-Walid, one of the famous military commanders and Sahabi, radiallahu anhu, the great Mujahid. Khalid ibn al-Walid was in a different geographic region. So the military commander, I forget his name, but he sent out a call for help. He wrote a letter and gave it to the messenger and told the messenger to go as fast as you can through the desert, go to Khalid ibn al-Walid and give the letter to him so we can get reinforcement. We are outnumbered. We need more soldiers. So the letter was so short. The letter had just two written words. He said in the letter, let me write this down here. He said, Iyaka nabghi. You alone we desire. That's how he said. That's how he said to Khalid ibn Walid. He said, Iyaka nabghi, the military commander. I should know the name, but I'll look it up inshallah later. That's how he wrote in the letter. Iyaka nabghi. You alone we need help from. No one can help us. We are outnumbered. We can't fight this enemy. Help. And only you. Because he didn't want Khalid ibn Walid to send other soldiers or troops. He wanted Khalid ibn Walid himself to come and help them fight the battle. So that was amazing. And Khalid ibn al-Walid was an expert in Arabic. And he read this letter. He's like, okay, I know what he's talking about. This is syntax inversion. Of course, he didn't call it that, syntax inversion, but he immediately, as a native speaker of the language, he knew what he was being asked. So you see the power of this, of language, right? You want to be very careful in your syntax when you communicate, especially during time of wars, time of important decision making, time of writing legal contracts. I have read legal contracts in Arabic when I was in Syria, when I was buying an apartment, buying a car. And when I looked at the language of the legal contract, I was like, subhanallah, even though it's all modern Arabic, but it was all following the classical Arabic. And I could see all of these syntax and all the other sarf and nahu and balagha in there. I was just enjoying the contract. And the lawyer was saying, just sign the contract, you know? I was like, wait, let me enjoy the, the language of the contract, the balagha of the contract. It's amazing how Arabic is just, it's just so amazing. It just goes on and on and on. Let's go on to some more examples for syntax. And here's another beautiful example of syntax inversion in the Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. سلام هي. Salam is she. Who is she? The night. Al-Layla. Laylatul Qadr. Salamun hiya. She is, Allah did not say hiya salamun, right? What is the normal syntax? The normal syntax is to say hiya, she, salamun, right? But he did not say that because Allah wanted to create this idea of what they call in balagha al-hasr or al-qasr. He didn't say hiya salamun. He didn't say she is salam. He said salamun hiya. What that means is no other night is salam. No other night has complete salam. What is salam? Safety and security. Sometimes they translate it as peace. In the context of war, it makes sense to translate the word salam as peace. But normally, salam means safety and security. So if I say salamun alayk, I'm saying I'm making dua for you. I'm saying may you be safe and secure. So this is called syntax inversion. Allah took the mubtada, the subject, and put it after the predicate, and which means the predicate was brought forward, the khabar is brought forward. This is called taqdeem and at-ta'khir, which is mentioned here. Taqdeem means to bring something forward that is normally not put forward, not in the beginning, and at-ta'khir means to delay something, put it at a later point in the sentence when it's normally not done like that. So beautiful example. And we remember in the beginning of the course, we looked at the Quran in the greatest night. We can go back and review that. Salamun hiya hatta. It's like saying, Ma hiya illa salamun. She is nothing but salam until the rising of the dawn. Let me see if I can. Let me add that here. She's nothing but salam. Yes. Okay. All right. One last example of this beautiful syntax inversion concept, which exists in all languages, but in Arabic, it's a whole new ball game. Here's a verse. There's so many examples of this in the Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. على الله توكلنا. على الله توكلنا. So let's try to translate that. Translation is like mission impossible. Sometimes you might get it reasonably well, but a lot of times it's so difficult to translate. Arabic, it's even more challenging to translate the Quran because there's so much invisible stuff going on here. So I'll try my best to translate because it's a necessary thing. Over or in Allah alone, we put our trust. That's one way to translate. In Allah alone. Where did I get this word alone from? I don't see this word alone in the original Arabic. If a person is not well trained in Arabic, they'll be like, hey, you're cheating. There is no word alone in the original Arabic. Well, I'll tell them, you got to study balagha, my brother. Alallahi is prepositional phrase, jar, harful jar, and majrur. And you know that the verb comes first in a verbal sentence. This is a verbal sentence. So the original syntax, original word order is tawakkalna, we put our trust in Allah. Allah, this is the original syntax. Well, what did Allah do? He inverted the subject. He brought forward the thing that normally comes late, and he delayed the thing that normally comes in the beginning to create what? To create the rhetorical effect of alone or only. This is just the tip of the iceberg. There are dozens of ways to do it. All of them are detailed in the Quranic Linguistics textbook series. Actually, I should say level 4 and level 5. Actually, it's throughout the series. So not just level 4, but also in throughout the series. You will find examples of a taqdeem and ta'akhir as soon as you start studying an-nahu grammar. Summary of the salient features of Arabic rhetoric. Let's finish up this lesson quickly by summarizing some things. 40 different types of metaphorical devices, 70 types of invisible grammatical structures, 70 types of invisible, there's invisible grammar. You got semantics and expressions like you've never seen in any language before. All languages have them, but Arabic has more. Embellishing speech, their techniques. Al-mahdhufat is the word for that. Al-ma'ani wal-asalib. Al-ma'ani is semantics and al-asalib is expressions, styles of expressions. Ilm al-badi and al-muhassinat al-lughawiyya is a technical term for how to embellish your speech, make it sound beautiful. There's asalib al-tawkid and there's asalib al-mubalagha, hyperintensity. And if you wish to become a scholar of Quran or well-educated Muslim of Islamic studies, whether you are Imam, Faqih, Mufti, Mutakallim, Muhaddith, Mufassir, or any religious leader in any capacity, then you must study some Arabic. The more, the better. Here's a quick overview of the Quranic Linguistics series. Level 1, you start with the sarf morphology, which is compared to roots, right? The root words. The root of the tree is coming out of the seed. Then you do some grammar and nahu, but not too much grammar. Then you come back to as-sarf, do advanced morphology. Then you go to do some balagha, eloquence. Then you come back to do the remaining advanced grammar. This is a very strong long-term plan. Takes several years, maybe 3 to 5 years to complete all of this. والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.